Hello, everyone. I'm Sally Sherrin, and I wanted to share some information with you. I haven't done one of these for a while, so it's a bit strange because I'm not in the habit of doing them, but hopefully it's working okay. And this seemed quite important to put out because it's come in a roundabout way that I wasn't expecting. And I think it'll be for some of you to be involved in this. This isn't work for one person, and it's linking in with work that some of you are doing as well anyway, um, on the 22 too, I believe. So the backstory is that about, well, actually, it was on New Year's Eve. Um, Myself and my daughter booked a 3-day trip to Berlin. And this came about because she wants to see a particular pianist, Alessandra somebody or other. I've forgotten the other name, who's French Canadian, and she's going to be over doing a tour of European cities. And Millie, my daughter, wanted to go to the London one, but it was already sold out. So then she was going to go to the Paris one with a friend that's living in Paris this year, but then it wasn't convenient. So that was all off. So we were talking about it, and I said, "Well, where else is she playing?" And she read me the list. And I said, "Well, I've never been to Berlin, so I might be open to the idea of going there for a few days." Bearing in mind, this is something that we would never do. It's not the kind of thing we do. So it was funny. Um, I mean, this wasn't on the first day she'd mentioned it. It came into my mind to take her up on it after she talked about it. And I said, "Well, let's look at the idea of going to Berlin." Anyway, so on New Year's Eve, we booked it. We booked flights for 3 days. So we're going on Wednesday, the 21st, which is a week today, and coming back on the Saturday, the 24th. And we managed to get a hotel. Well, she found it. She found the hotel, which she found because it had 5-star reviews and it was quite near the centre. And she said, "Oh, the price is good. And what do you think?" And I said, "Oh, okay, then it looks all right." Well, anyway, I didn't know anything about Berlin, but the name of the hotel intrigued me. It's Checkpoint Charlie. So gat for gate, like the gate which people came through when they had to pass through between East and West Berlin through the wall. And I read a little bit about it, and this modern hotel which we've booked is in the old police headquarters where you used to have to pass through to get from one side to the other and show your papers, presumably. So that was really interesting. And it made me take notice once I realised that we were going to be in the wall, like energetically staying in that space. So I thought, "Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if there'll be a bit of energy work going on." And then bizarrely, but of course there aren't ever coincidences, are there? David Manning, who some of you know, whose work some of you know, a beautiful, beautiful light worker, he happened to mention the Berlin Wall in a email he sent out that day because I was taking part in something he was going to be doing that evening for the new year. He was doing 2 evenings running, and there was a e-newsletter that came that day ready for with his insights ready for what we were going to be doing, because it was Oh gosh, yeah. It was about, I can't remember exactly, but it was, oh, it's really strong energy coming in. It was about the disintegration of the old and stepping into the new. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense because I've written disintegration down here, which is one of the really key words. I've gone goosebumps all over. So one of the main words that I'm going to be working with. So, okay. So I noticed because he mentioned Berlin Wall in his email. And then, so I thought, well, that's crazy. And his thing wasn't about Berlin at all. It was about the end of last year and going into this year. So anyway, I did his thing, which was always very beautiful. They're amazing, his work. If anyone wants to look into his work, David Manning energy work. And then what happened next? Well, I don't think very much happened then for a few weeks. It was like, oh, we're going to Berlin. Oh, that's going to be interesting, you know. And then, so more recently, I clocked, I don't know if it was a couple of weeks ago, that the dates we were going to be there are quite interesting. That we would be there for the 222, so the 22nd of February, which I always find an interesting day. And I've run groups on that day before. Quite a few years I've done things on the 22-2, I think starting in 2014. So it's a big important day. And so I clocked that as well, which is interesting, isn't it? And the 21st we're going out, so it's got the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and they're all big numbers for me. So the 21 is 3 is Trinity, and then 22 Master Builder, and 23 is really big for me every time anyway, because I'm a 23. I've born on a 23, and I know about 23. There's a lot of stuff about 23 on in John Valère Melchizedek's work, but that's a side thing. Anyway, so what I wanted to do, and then yesterday I had a telephone chat with my friend Sarah Williams, who lives here in Southampton, and we were just catching up because we hadn't spoken for ages. And I happened to mention this, so we were chatting. Things come up as you're talking, and it comes through, and it did. She said a few things. I heard stuff that she'd already heard but hadn't said to me, and then that was all getting very interesting then. And I'm itching now, so that's all good. Confirmation. So I'm not sure whether to say all of that first. So the shortened version is that I've got a German step grandfather. So we're not blood related, but he was my dad's stepdad. And he met my granny when my dad was very little. And he was my grandpa because that's who I knew as grandpa. And he was German. But he came over to the northeast of England as a little boy with his family. He was the youngest of the siblings. And they had to change their name because they had a German name, and this was in the 1930s. And then after he'd met my granny and married her and was living with her and my dad, who was a little boy, he got called up to drive tanks in the war and had to fight against Germany, which is quite interesting, isn't it? Because it's like both sides of the same thing. And that's what got me thinking. Yeah, and I've got to go there to hold energetic space in the wall, which is where it is, or where it was, where the energy of it was. And I made a few notes which I think are quite interesting, and I'm thinking it's a collective work. So some of you might be very called to connect in with me while I'm there to do something. I don't know what. It's just being, really. I think it's just being and like holding the frequency of light. And it seems in my conversation with Sarah yesterday, it transpired that it's part of a contract to go and do this. And it's almost like I've got to do it as a payback. And then I suddenly thought, gosh, I wonder, maybe I was one of the officials there checking people and refusing them. Maybe it's possible. So this morning I woke up with some quite quite important sort of truths that really resonate. So this wall, it represents quite a lot, doesn't it? Because it separates people from other people, and it mirrors how we separate parts of ourselves from other parts of ourselves. So in the war, we actually fought against ourselves, as illustrated by my grandpa. We fought against those we loved, even if we didn't know them. That was essentially what was happening. So it's showing us, what it's doing is it's bringing up and showing us how we fight against ourselves by being separate. So the wall represents the separation that we have had, and it's kept us safe, I suppose, over these centuries. But now it's time for the disintegration, and that there's more about that word. So oppression is a big energy which I can relate to, and I'll tell a little story. I think it was 2006, I went to a talk about homeopathy in Burley in the New Forest. And I can't remember the chap's name, but he was really interesting, the chap who was speaking. And I was so interested, it was like so fascinating. And at one point he said, oh, we've even made a remedy from the Berlin Wall. And I just shot out of my seat, and it was like a bolt of, I know what that's for. That's for oppression. And it was really very emotional. It was just one of those moments where you just, I don't know, can't describe that. You just know that you're supposed to know that, and it's really significant. I don't remember very much else about that evening. But oh yeah, last night I saw on Facebook my friend Paul Dobry. Thank you, Paul, if you get to watch this. You put up a post about the conjunction, which I hadn't heard of yet, on the 22nd of February, 222. Venus and Mars are going to have a conjunction, which I hadn't realised yet. So that's really interesting, isn't it? Because Mars represents war and Venus represents love. And they're going to have a conjunction on the 22nd of February as well. So that gave me added fuel to this is like a planned thing. This is rigged. This isn't just me going for a few days of sightseeing. You know, there's stuff, isn't there, going on. So Mars and Venus meeting is the masculine meeting the feminine. And we've all got masculine and feminine within us, and we've all had masculine and feminine past lives, as in we've all been male and we've all been female lots and lots and lots of times. But now it's time to reintegrate all the bits that we've kept separate. So where we've maybe hated the opposite gender, or we've shut down part of ourselves that is that part, that side. Um, so it's a meeting and a reintegration of those aspects to bring them into balance. And also, Mars is the destroyer. Mars represents the destroyer. And I see Venus as a creator because love is the creator. So Mars the destroyer, you've got to destroy everything before you build up the new earth, haven't you? And that was illustrated very clearly to me. It's so funny how things are just going so quickly, aren't they? You think of a thing and it just gets organized. Yesterday, I was just answering a message to my friend Sarah Williams to arrange to speak, and I'd just done that, and then my phone rang, and it was the carpet cleaners. Well, normally I tell people to bog off if they interrupt me, and they're not expecting them. But it was funny because I'd used them once before, so it wasn't a total sort of cold call. But I actually listened and I was quite polite, which is unusual because I usually say, I didn't ask for this call. But anyway, I ended up agreeing to have the carpets cleaned, which I hadn't planned to have done, but they do need cleaning. The main part of the house that joins all the rooms together. Okay, so that's interesting as well, isn't it? So it's the hall, stairs, and landing. So it's the place that joins everything together, which you could see as like the thoroughfare and the channel, the through channel, like the spine or the where how everything goes backwards and forwards through the house. And you could mirror that with like the body, how everything goes backwards and forwards, because the cells have to talk to each other and the organs have to talk to each other and everything has to flow backwards and forwards. So this is getting really interesting now because I hadn't twigged that as well, but I did get the phrase from the ground up. That was this morning. I woke up and it was from the ground up. So the lady from the carpet cleaners said what I'd have to do before they come. I'd have to hoover and then clear everything out of their way, obviously, because they're not ready to clean it if you've got shoes and stuff there. So everything has got to be cleared before we can build the new from the ground up. Yeah. What else did I want to say? That war and love are two sides of the same coin because destroying and creating, it is two sides of the same thing, isn't it? The human part of us thinks that one's good and the other one isn't good, but actually one has to go before the other one, before the creation. So I've said this, I think the wall represents the separation, and this thing on the 22nd of February is going to be to do with us holding light for the disintegration of the separation. And it's not just for Berlin, it's for every place on earth where there's been separation, where people have been separated physically and even like because of class and division and how society is divided and politics and there's so many ways of division, aren't there? It's not just a physical wall that you can't pass through. So it's all of that, it's massive. So it's a paradox, really. It is a paradox that you have to It's hard to get your head around, really. And then we get the freedom to reintegrate all the aspects of ourselves. So then all the aspects of our self, all our higher aspects, our galactic aspects, our earth aspects, particularly dragon and other earth aspects of ourself, they get to reintegrate within us so that we can access all of their wisdom and all of their wholeness, and we'll feel different because we'll have it's more of us, it's becoming more of us. So the mission, which I'm suggesting, is that we hold light and energy in this, like, metaphoric, really, wall. And so this represents all the walls, like, within us, so around our heart, where we've put a wall around our heart so that we don't feel emotions. The walls around our cells, and that's a whole other topic, actually. It's really important that our cells literally get coated with a dark coating which prevents the light moving in and out, and the light and the water moving in and out when we're in fear and dehydrated. So the cholesterol hardens around the cells, and then the cells don't flow. The water and the information doesn't flow as it should, day and night, back and forth, back and forth. And I might try and put out something else about that, because this is the time next. This is no coincidences, because we've just had Shrove Tuesday, and this is Ash Wednesday, which is the beginning of Lent. And we know the church put their dates on the pagan wisdom, on the ancient wisdom, not just pagan, but all the ancient wisdoms that, like, we know anciently, that for these 40 odd days leading up now from the new moon up to spring equinox, it's time for the spring clean of the body. So that's why Lent got put there, to, you must go without a thing. Well, it's so that, because we used to always do a detox when it was coming up to spring equinox, because that's the best time to do one, because then your cells are all bright and shiny and you can hold the light coming in then, which you need. We need that so that we can communicate with cosmic intelligence and get our downloads from higher self. This is going on longer than I expected, but never mind, that's okay. Yeah, so around our cells, around our organs, around our ideas of who we think we are. That's an interesting one, isn't it? These walls we've built around the ideas of who we think we are, and our beliefs. We've got walls around our beliefs, like, oh, I believe that, but I won't believe that, because we've come to a certain point and that's as far as we'll go, and that's that wall there. So this is going to be really powerful, whoever wants to join in with me. So then this work will open ourselves up to the codes of freedom. Because once that's the walls clear, we can free up ourselves, as in capital S, really, isn't it? So I'm just gonna. You might want to, if you're listening, you might want to just close your eyes, because this bit I'm just going to read it, and it sounds. It might resonate with you. It might be a little bit like a little meditation. I hadn't planned it like that, but I think it might be. So we're going to allow these walls to disintegrate within us, leading to greater flow and ease within the body. Around us, leading to greater flow and ease between us, between each other, on Mother Earth, where these energetic barriers, which have often been physical, separate people. And they also separate parts of Mother Earth from herself. She wants to communicate with her whole self. She needs to be in flow. And we are part of the same structure. We have a symbiotic relationship with Mother Earth. So we mirror her, she mirrors us, we coexist with her. So this is going to help both of us, all of us. Then this phrase that I've said loads of times over the last 10 or however many years, it's a cooperative ascension. And that really rings true with all of this, doesn't it? Because it's cooperative. So we're all like our cells are cooperating with each other. You know, we cooperate with each other in order to ascend in frequency, in order to raise our frequency. And that's illustrated by, my synchronicities with a couple of people leading up to this, because it's you don't get all the ideas by yourself. It's one bouncing backwards and forwards. And Nicola Light, I must mention as well, who I told her I was going to be in Berlin because she's doing something on the 22 too. And at that point I was saying, oh, I think there might be something afoot. This was a few days ago. Well, she said, oh, grid work for you then, Sally. So thanks, Nicola, because I've never really thought about that phrase, grid work, and in relation to me actually doing it. But that made me kind of pay attention as well. So it's all coming together to go to the right place. So the cooperative ascension means we need each other, and we need Mother Earth. So we need to be in harmony with ourselves, and we need to be in harmony with Mother Earth. Those two things are really important, that we're in harmony with our body. Everything is in harmony. Our mind, our emotions, our body, and with Mother Earth. So all aspects, so all of our selves are going to come into harmony. Our earth aspects, like the dragons, which are so important coming up now, are dragons, that's us. Our galactic aspects, our star family, our cosmic family, all the different parts, all the different aspects of us, right down to the cells in our bodies. And it's so important that we have love and appreciation for all of these aspects. I'm going to leave it there because I think that's quite a lot in one go. And I haven't done a video for quite a long time, so I'm not even quite sure if it's working. I'll only see afterwards. But I'll aim when I go, if I don't put anything up before, I'll aim when I go to post up each day some photos and some bits of information that whatever's going on, really. I'm definitely going to be in those gardens. I've luckily found some gardens that are quite near where we're staying. There's some big gardens there. So that'll be me, hopefully barefoot in there, earthing. Yeah, and if you want to join in on the 22 too, I haven't thought of a time, but I mean, all day maybe just on and off, if whenever you think of it or when it's convenient. Or I suppose we could say 2:22, something like that. And I'll go where I'm guided, and you go where you're guided. But barefoot would be good if we can. Though if I'm in the city on concrete, I probably won't be barefoot. But we'll yeah, we'll just see how it unfolds. So thank you very much for um, being on this journey. Lots of love.